Pivoting radial connection, a reminiscence of Sentul Depot. Let's start off with the site, which is located in the heart of Sentul and is also home to one of the famous train depots in Malaysia. Sentul is also known for its railway and connectivity, as well as Sentul Park, having the abundance of trees that serves as a green lung towards the developing nation of Malaysia. But even for a historically rich district like Sentul, there are still quite some issues regarding the site. One of them is the segregation of the rich and poor residents among the three residential areas, and as well as the busy, hectic, unhealthy lifestyle adopted by the residents due to increasing dependence on technology, staying indoors, and forgetting the fun and benefits of outdoor activities. There also seems to be a lack of recreational and communal areas for the residents, as well as an absence of a library within Sentul itself. And due to the park not being open to most of the public in Sentul, it is unsafe for the residents to jog, run, exercise, or even do sports like along the main roads. This leads to my personal projections for the site. One of them is to revitalize Sentul Park to be open for public use with education and health factors in mind. And due to its central location in Sentul, it is actually quite accessible to all of the residents, and also a part of Sentul Depot to be converted into a library, which helps Sentul to become not just a healthier community, but also a more intellectual community. And also residents would actually improve their understanding and relationship between each other, with Sentul Park being open for public use. Part of my urban strategy is also included in this projection, which is to re-educate the residents of Sentul to lead a healthy lifestyle. Here in urban strategies, the usage of a radial grid is implemented, with Sentul Depot right in the center of it, because it is considered as one of the central gathering venues for all of the residents if this park were to be open to the public. The urban strategies are to include some environments into Sentul Park, which could provide and educate a healthy lifestyle to the residents of Sentul. Those environments would then in turn be implemented into programs that occupy most of Sentul Park. These programs would then serve as an initiative for the residents to lead a healthy lifestyle, which revolves around three factors, not just physically, but mentally and socially as well. And through the usage of the radial grid plotted above, each of these spaces could be designated into their own respective sectors. Apart from strategizing within the interiors of the site, the inclusion of small interventions outside of Sentul Park is considered to be important as well, as these small little interventions which are placed strategically outside of the site are key in bringing awareness towards the residents. And these interventions reflect the major programs that would be taking place inside of Sentul Park. Some of the small interventions include small mini planters that introduce small-scale edible planting towards the residents, so that they could actually experience planting small little herbs, spices themselves before moving on to larger scale planting. Pop-up libraries with small shelves and seating to promote the habit of reading. Mini sports facilities are introduced as well to introduce basic training in different types of sports for the residents. Outdoor gym equipment like pull-up bars to improve stamina and muscle strength without actually paying to go to a gym. And small little yoga pergolas that could cater but not limited to housewives in the area, which could provide mindfulness and better emotional health. Planted walkways have been implemented, which serves to connect all these small little sites outside of Sentul Park that lead the residents towards the newly strategized Sentul Park. Moving on to building strategies, which foresees some of the preliminary ideas that embrace the elements of a train station with Sentul Depot, like double volume, triple volume spaces with mezzanine floors, underground platforms and sunken train tracks, while some of the other ideas embrace the longitudinal shape of Sentul Depot, and it has a form somewhat like a train, with arches being one of the main features here. Then an experimentation of pivoting the longitudinal form of Sentul Depot This pivoting action would serve to provide a visual connection from the residents of both sides of Sentul, as well as providing views on looking Sentul Park and KL Pack. This experiment would then later spearhead my design in the later stages. Some of the major programs included for the central hub in Sentul Depot are the library, co-working spaces, some outdoor sports facilities, a courtyard garden, which also features an elevated walkway garden that connects both of the buildings, as well as some other spaces like office and management, a cafe that uses plants from the courtyard garden, recreational area within the foyer, as well as some parking spaces. Moving on to the design process, which oversees multiple experiments on form making. It started out as a pivoting longitudinal plan, and with the implementation of the sector shapes in my urban strategy, those would mainly go and create the basic form of the main building. And for the secondary building, which embraces the squarish plans of Sentul Depot, this is like a rough sketch of the building from an exterior perspective, and as well as some of the sketches depicting the elevated walkway as well as the courtyard garden, and mainly some of the sectional sketches of both buildings, which visualizes the quality of spaces. From the building strategy, brick arches would still be a main feature of my building. This is to evoke a sense of nostalgia, where it is one of the main building materials of KL Pack, as well as other train-related buildings in the area. Steel columns are to be introduced as well, because it replicates the repetitive structure of Sentul Depot. And these are some of the perspective sketches of various spaces showing the quality of it and how I want it to look. The mock-up model showing how the building would roughly look like in the vicinity of Sentul Depot. And here it is superimposed with the steel side model. Now moving on to the basic materials of the building. The major material for my main building would be bricks. This is to generate the old world charm and evoke a sense of nostalgia. The floor slabs would mostly be made out of concrete. This is to generate a contrast between the floors and the walls. And two types of metals are being used as well, mainly cotton steel and a dark pattern metal. Why I chose cotton steel is because it gives off a reddish brown hue that goes well with the tone of bricks, and also to match with Sentul Depot. Although its roof is not made out of cotton steel, it's mainly steel that has been rusted, and the dark pattern steel serves as an accent material for the secondary building. Moving on to the initial plans of my building. These hand-drawn plans would serve to visualize the spaces in an in-depth manner, seeing how big each space would be for different types of programs, as well as the relevance of scale with Sentul Depot. Now, moving on to the perspectives of the building. The main building, as you can see, is pivoted to Sentul Park and in line with KL Pack, because it follows a radial grid as well, stretching from Sentul Depot, while the secondary building is partially affected by the radial grid. And then moving on to the interior perspectives of the building. This is the view of the central garden inside of Sentul Depot, and it is also the central intersection point of my radial grid, which I will show later on in the site plan. These are a series of perspective views throughout the whole building that displays the type of environment and atmosphere that I want to show. Starting off from the main entrance of the building, the co-working space on the first floor, the library on the second floor, the elevated walkway garden that connects both of the buildings, the topmost floor of the courtyard garden, the view on looking the courtyard garden from the stairs of the office, and as well as the lounge that connects both of the courtyard garden and the office. Next are the plans of the whole building. The first one is the site plan. My building is located at the north side of Sentul Depot, and from what I mentioned earlier, the radial grid and the central intersection point is shown here. And based on both of them, my building takes the shape of the sector areas in my urban strategy, as well as the structure of Sentul Depot while conforming to the radial grid. Next up is the ground floor plan, which houses a few of the main activities, which houses the largest of spaces of the entire building, as it uses a part of Sentul Depot with a central garden, the cafe, and a part of the main building under the roof of Sentul Depot. Going up to the first floor plan, which has three major spaces, with the co-working space occupying the whole first floor of the main building, while the courtyard garden and the office occupies the other. Then moving on to the second floor plan, which again has three major spaces, with the library occupying the whole second floor of the main building. In between the buildings, the elevated walkway garden that overlooks towards the sports facilities, as well as the final floor of the courtyard garden. And then here's the roof plan, which has different lengths of roof planes that emphasizes the depth of space in the north and south elevations of the building with Sentul Depot, the east and west elevations of the building and Sentul Depot, and as well as both sections A and B. That is all from me. Thank you.